Good morning, everybody. This is Tish, just doing what you do with Miss Tish, cooking with colors. Hey, today I am showing you how I can rotisserie chicken. Yes, look, I go to Sam's and get me a couple of those rotisserie chickens, break them down. I do not waste anything because with the carcasses and the bones, I make broth, stock, and also bone meal for my garden. Yes, nothing goes to waste from these chickens. So with this meat right here, I broke it down and now I am canning it in my pint-sized jars because I found that it's easier for me to distribute or to use if I put it in pint-sized jars. I also cut up some celery, onions, and carrots to put in there as well. And then while this is going on, I will be making some broth. And I use the broth from the chicken and the bones to put the broth inside of my chicken, rotisserie chicken in a jar. Now, what I'll be using for this chicken that I will be, when I do use it, I'll be making like chicken pot pies. I could also use it, especially for my chicken noodle soup or just chicken soup. This is perfect for that. Just add your noodles, dump it, add your noodles, and you got chicken noodle soup. Wow. And also making chicken and dumplings. The things are endless with it. Even chicken, what are the chicken chili, chicken chicken joes, sloppy joes, or I can't recall what I want to say, but those different pulled pork or barbecue chicken sandwiches. That's what I wanted to say. Perfect for those. But it's good to have that already stocked and saved and preserved for when you need it. You never know when they're gonna run out of those chickens, or do you have time to go ahead and rotisserie or to cook your own chickens to have it ready for that night or that dinner that you are preparing. So when you have it already on the shelf, hey, you just pull it out of the shelf and use it the way you need. I think it's a wonderful idea when you learn how to can and you can store up your veggies and your meats and everything else to get ready for that meal in the future to come. And also, if you can it right, it'll last for years. If you store it right, it will last for years. Hey, if you don't know how to can, learn how to can. It's one of those best things that you'll master, and one of those best things you can have in your arsenal as a homesteader, as a preserver, as a mom, as a wife, and as a chef, cook, or homemaker. These things are wonderful things to have in your arsenal. Well, I done already canned all the chicken, put it in pieces, and now they're in the jars. So the next thing I'm going to prepare is the cooker, the pressure canner. Make sure the water's in there, getting ready, because these jars already been warmed. I had these in the pressure canner, so I took them out and they are warmed. So it's not, remember, you never put cold jars in hot canners. Everything has to be equal. If the canner is hot, the jars have to be hot. If the food is hot and the broth is hot, the jars and the canner has to be hot, warm. Now, if you have cold jars, cold chicken, cold broth, cold water, everything has to be equal. Do not go in and have cold this and hot this. It will be unbalanced. And also make sure you go with your altitude and know how many pounds you have to put on your gauge as well. So I am preparing for it to wipe off my jar lids and to get it ready to go in the canner. But before I do all of that, I'm putting in some little of chicken bouillon that's been that I have in a big jar. I downsize it. I put it like I guess you could say a quarter a teaspoon. I don't know how much it is. I just pour some on top and I push it down underneath the rim. I think one thing I did do, I didn't have it an inch headspace. I didn't have an inch headspace, I think, on these. I had a little bit above, but it canned all right. I didn't have any problem. So I do have some chicken stock, chicken broth that I have prepared. So I'm putting that on top of that, and I'm going to let it settle down and then take my debubbler to debubble it down so it can be able to get the juices and the broth down in the jars, and it won't be just floating on top. So right now it looks like it's not there, but remember I have that packed in with meat, veggies, onions, all those things is packed in inside that jar. So the broth has to settle down into the jar in order for it to stabilize and to get to where it needs to be at. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, getting it prepared. Now, I want to thank you all for tuning into my channel and looking at my content. I really appreciate it. It would not be possible if it weren't for you all watching or coming in to just view what I'm doing each and every time I post a video. Now, for those who have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. I thank you so much for those who have and those who will be in the future. I thank you. And just you are such a blessing. And I speak blessings over your household, your families, and what are things to come. I speak those blessings over you all. So I thank you so much for what you do to make my channel visible among all. And keep me in prayer so I could be able to do more videos and have that time to do more. I'll be doing the videos, but to put it out, you have to do a lot of editing. So keep me in prayer about that so I can be able to have them put out on time and appropriate good time for everything. So, like I say, I'm continuing to pour the broth over the chicken and vegetables and the stock so it can be ready for it to can. Okay, as you can see, now I am debubbling the jars so I can take away the air. So debubbling is simply taking away the excess air that's in the veggies and chicken that goes in the jar when the broth is intertwined with it. It's making sure all the broth get down in the jar. It's not sitting right there on top. And also, if we have a lot of air in our jars, it causes it to, when it in the pressure canner, it causes it to have more seeking to come out of it. So we want to have less air as possible so we can be able to have the more liquid we can in the jars. I hope you understand what I'm saying with that. So make sure you debubble your jars when you're doing it. Now, processing of any meat products, everything is a longer time than a regular pressure canning your items. So you want to make sure you go to the recommended time and do it as procedure as you see in your canning book. I use a ball canning, a home preserving canning book, and that helps me to make sure I get the right amount of weight for my elevation, as well as the right amount of headspace, as well as the right amount of pressure for my canning. And the timing is very important so I can get a good seal on my things I'm canning. Like I was saying, I think on these products, my headspace was too high, I believe, on here when I went back and checked, but I had already canned them and they did well. So I didn't have any problems with it. All of them sealed. I didn't have any I did have some seeping out of them, but all of them sealed. So that's the main point. I want to make sure they seal. I do a test at the end by lifting up the lid of the jars without the rings, just and hold the jar up and see if it seals that way. If it come loose, that means it didn't seal. If I hear some air, it didn't seal. So a lot of times I allow it to be real quiet while I'm doing those things, or when it comes out, because I can hear if it's seeping or air is coming out, or that I have a leak in my seal. But these came out very well. Also, make sure you do clean the rim of your jars, because you don't want the excess, the chicken, the broth, anything on that to cause it not to seal properly. You want to have a great seal with your canning. So even with that, I did a 1/4 thing, but I believe it's supposed to be a 1 inch. It should have been below the rim. I'm believing. So I think I can't remember for sure, but I believe I went above it and not below where I need to be at. I think I went a little bit above, but it worked out okay. But next time I'll make sure I bring it down to at least a 1/2 inch or inch under the rim when I'm canning meat products. So I'll make sure I got the broth and everything in there well, and then I'm going to finish wiping my jars. And then it'll be ready to put the rings on to put it in the pressure canner to can. Okay, we're one step away from the final step in completing the scanning process. Now it's time to make sure we finger tight screw the lids on our jar. Just finger tight, because you want to make sure that it have enough room, have enough air, so it can seal. You don't want it too tight because it might burst the jar. Remember, this is under pressure. So we're going to do that, make sure it's ready, and then we're going to go ahead and put it in our jar, in our canner, and be ready to set the canner up so we can go ahead and start the processing procedure when we are pressure canning. My first time pressure canning was a little fearful and scared. I was making sure I do everything right because I'm hearing so much stories, nightmares of canning. But I watched Homestead Heart, one of my favorite canners in 1876, I think. Homestead, I can't remember exactly, with Rachel, and they really got me at ease of doing pressure canning, especially Homestead Heart. And I commend them on what they when they do these videos, because it helps me out. So kudos to those two homesteaders that I do focus and look at a lot on canning, especially Homestead Heart, because they go outside the box with the canning. So now I have already loaded in, sealed it up, and now we're doing a jiggle. Yes, we're doing a jiggle. And hey, we waiting for that jiggle in order for us to really start our canning process. Now, guess what? We're at the end. Hey, that time period has lapsed. Got that time lapse. And now you see all my jars are sealed, ready to be stored, and has been sitting for overnight. So this is the next day. I'm so happy that you tuned in and took time out your day to be able to share moments with me with my canning. This is probably the third or fourth, maybe fifth time canning meat, chicken, and I am getting better and better each time. Have a blessed day, and thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, and to being a subscriber to my channel. Be blessed. Until next time, this is Tish, just doing what you do with Miss Tish, cooking with colors. Be blessed. See, pick it up by the rim. And also, I didn't hear any seeping from that. But other than that, everything looked well. I just need to label it now and store them up. I am going to be making some more and making some chicken pot pies with that. So, all right. Be blessed.